Hi, welcome back to Enlargements. We're going to describe an enlargement with a positive scale factor on a graph. As always, our question is the same. Describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A to shape B. So we have to first determine the type of transformation. This one is probably the easiest to spot because it's an enlargement, right? It's the only one that you're going to actually see change in size. So we are going to just say right away, it's an enlargement. So that would get you 1 mark typically for saying it's enlargement. So we want to write the lengths of all the sides. We've seen in the past with enlargements, we don't always need all of them, but for this example, I am simply going to write them still. So when I say all, I'm just need a length and a width. So here on the top, we have this as 6 and 2. So step 3, if we look here, we're going to find out our scale factor. We've done a little bit of this before, keep in mind, and all we have to do is take our new divided by our old. So our shape B is our new, and we denote this with an N, if you remember. And shape A is, I like to say just old sometimes because it's only 3 letters, whereas original is a lot more. So we're just going to take 2 of the same measurements. So I'm going to take the easiest numbers, and I'm going to take that left-hand side, which is 3 in our B, and we're going to divide it by 1, so we get 3, and that is going to be our scale factor. So now we can say enlargement, scale factor of 3, and that's all we could do before. However, now what we know about our centers, well, we need to find our center of enlargement. So I've saved a little time now by just putting in the lines before, and we've drawn them before. Now this is where I said you have to be really accurate. So we're going to find that if we see the point of kind of intersection, as we call it, we see that it happens at where x is -4. So we're just going to start writing that at center, and we want to display it in terms of coordinates. So x comes first, so we're going to say that's -4, and our y value of -2.5. Okay, so next example, let's do another. So we're going to map shape C to shape D. So the first thing I'm going to actually do for this one is we'll indicate C is our O, our N is our new, so our scale factor. This is where I said before, you do not have to do anything in any particular order because they're all kind of just, they don't depend on one another. Our answers don't depend on one another, the 3 things that we need. So we need our scale factor, which is our new over our old. So we have to just pick out a measurement. So there's 2 and 1. So 2 divided by 1. So our scale factor here is 2. If we wanted, we could check any other sides that match. So our bottom, we notice as 4 on D, and C is 2. So 4 divided by 2 is indeed 2. So our scale factor is 2. Now, we've already kind of decided that it's an enlargement. I mostly just glossed over that fact because we're in the enlargement section. But keep in mind when you actually are going to have to do these ever, they're not going to specify. You're going to have to figure it out. And last thing to do with this one, we have to draw in our lines. So, drawing our lines. Once again, I've done mine before to save some time. So if you notice, they are going to line up over here on the right-hand side at what looks like 4.5 along our x and 0 in our y. So make sure when you write it out, you say that it's the center and scale factor. So enlargement, with scale factor 2 and center of enlargement or center as 4.5 and 0. So even though we might use abbreviations when we go through our work, always answer at the end in full. That way the reader, no matter who they are, can understand your work. So here is now 2 questions that you can try out for yourself. If you want, you can pause the video right now, and then once you're ready and you have your answers answered, go on. Right, so welcome back. We're going to go through these questions now. So first thing we can write down for both of them, just to save ourselves some time after, that they are enlargements, right? So should be an E on the front there. So enlargements. So it's an enlargement in each. Now let's work with the next easiest thing, which is scale factor. So that one's 4 and that's 2. So we can just do 4 divided by 2. So we know that our scale factor is 2 for our first one. Now, if we're looking over at our right one, we can start looking at our measurements here. So on B, our bottom, how big is that? Well, we have 1, 2, 3 in B, 1 in A. So we can do 3 divided by 1 because we're going from A to B. So we have it as 3. And lastly, we have to find our center of enlargement. So this is where we're going to have to draw on our lines. So I'm going to pause the video here for a second. And once I have my lines drawn in, I'll be back. So I'm back with my lines drawn in, and we can see that on our left one, our center is here. So that is the point 3 and negative 4. So simply say center at 3 and negative 4. And then with our right one, we can see our center is just here. So that's negative 2.5 and 0.5. And that'll finish off our questions. And negative 0.5, as I said. So that is it for describing an enlargement with a positive scale factor. Next, we're going to work on negative scale factors and fractional scale factors before finishing up. But we'll apply the same techniques we've learned with positive ones to proceed forward.